the early game, Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are 8.5-point favorites over the 7 seeds in the NFC, over-under of 46. Forecast calls for rain and 20 to 30 mile per hour winds. That caused the over-under to drop from 49 to 46, but it also caused the line to bump in Tampa Bay's favor from -7.5 to -8.5.
Which is surprising,
really
right? That makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
I don't get that.
No, it should have gone the other way.
Yeah, right. That's where I don't understand the logic of that one at all. You know, where the team that it relies on the passing game more, the bad elements increase their chance to win the game. I don't see that.
No, I think that it actually would help the Eagles, and it plays into the hands of the Eagles from the standpoint of their approach, which it should be. And we talked about this on PFT Live. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Take the full 40 seconds. Keep Tom Brady on the sidelines. Make him anxious and frustrated when he's on the field. Let's revisit the Eagles' offense, which is very different than what the Buccaneers saw in Week 6 on a Thursday night. They've embraced what they do well. They run the ball well. The Buccaneers, due largely to injury, haven't been as good. You know, I think one of the keys for Tampa Bay, if they want to repeat, the defense has to step up like it did last year. And this is going to be a great early test. It almost kind of reminds me of that Washington game last year.
Right?
You know, it's going to take a fight for the Buccaneers to establish their footing and lay the foundation for what comes next.
I hear you there, though. There is. You know, you got a quarterback who's kind of a scrappy playmaker, and Jalen Hurts there. There's no doubt. I think you said it right. I mean, that's where we got to start. The Eagles' offense is nowhere near the same as it was early on in the season in Week 6. In fact, it was about 2-3 weeks after that, I believe it was the Lions game, where they started, I think, finally realized, like, wait, our quarterback's not Drew Brees or Phillip Rivers, or he's not going to be that, right? So wait, let's get back to what's the best thing about our team. Oh, wait, our O-line is one of the 5 best in football. Oh, wait, our quarterback is really athletic and probably one of the 5 most athletic quarterbacks in football. Let's do that and then play off of that. And that, to me, is where they took off as a football team. I mean, I know you think the same thing. They're dominant that way. So, yeah, when you watch the first matchup, there's not a lot that holds water as far as looking at it and going, oh, the Bucs had issues with this, the Bucs had issues with that. You know, the one thing we've seen is we haven't really seen many teams run the ball on the Bucs team when they're at full strength. That's been very rare. And it's not. It sounds like they're going to be at full strength to this football game, maybe other than Levante David. So that is going to be the marquee matchup. Those big dudes on the Eagles offensive line versus those big dudes on that Tampa Bay D-line, let alone a guy like Devin White who can fly around in the back end and make things happen. But the Eagles running offense is the key to the game. I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but for what we talk about with PFT, right, Mike? I mean, the Eagles offense to me is the best defense versus Tom Brady in that offense too. Stay on the field, chew up the clock. You know, keep the Buccaneers offense out of rhythm, and we're not in there, and we can't get it going that way. To me, that is going to be the key to the game for the Eagles. Can they chew up some clock, get first downs, kind of play that style of football, and move the ball in this Bucs defense through the run? If they can, it'll get scary because they can win some one-on-one matchups with those receivers on the outside. Sorry to talk so long, but, you know.
I worry about the Buccaneers offense because it really has a different vibe than it had a year ago, where you could take Mike Evans out and put Antonio Brown in. You could take Chris Godwin out and put Scotty Miller in. You could put Rob Gronkowski out and put Cameron Brate in, and it never missed a beat. You could alternate Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette, and you could trust both guys to do what needed to be done. This year, there's less of that vibe that whoever's out there on the field is going to make it happen. And I do feel like, and somebody explained to me, this is what happens as the offense gravitates to more Tom Brady-centric. That last year it was less Brady-based, so there was more of a distribution.
Yeah.
As it gravitates more toward Brady being in charge, he develops his favorites. He develops his guys. He develops guys he trusts a little more than others. And through time, it's more passes to Mike Evans, more passes to Rob Gronkowski. And I worry about that because it makes the offense a little more predictable and gives the Eagles better cues on who they need to focus on trying to take away. And they need to be more flexible, I think. Bottom line, Tom Brady needs to be more flexible, spreading the ball around to who's open and not trying to get it to one of the guys he feels more comfortable with.
Agreed. Hey, listen, to me, in some of the losses this year, that's when Brady does. Yes, he gets to try. It's stare at Rob Gronkowski. As he's pat the ball, you're like, dude, you've pat the ball 7 times now. Move to somebody else. They got him. He can definitely fall into that trap a little bit. Let alone, we know you get a little pressure on him and things like that. He gets jumpy. That's by far his biggest weakness right now at the age of 44. But I don't know if the Eagles can do that. I don't know if the Eagles can do any of this stuff to make him feel uncomfortable. I still think there's a systematic issue here with the Eagles defense. Like, I know the Eagles defense is number 10 in football, okay? But they have feasted on the weak here at the end of the season. Feasted on the weak. The quarterbacks they have played, it's Shitsville, and then it's Shitville, and then it's Shitsville, and it's Shitville. It's all a bunch of crappy quarterbacks and crappy offenses. When they play a team that's got a quarterback with a little bit of a system, they get their asses torn up. Pete, I know, we'll cut off one of the other games. Relax. I know we got to go to the next game. That to me is where it's gonna be dicey for the. I don't see how the Eagles stop Tampa on offense. The weather could be a gift, a blessing in disguise, no doubt about it. But I can't get behind it, and I'm picking the Bucs 31-20 to win this football game.
So basically, you think the stack is decked against the Eagles in this game.
You know it.
If I hear what you're saying
You know
correctly.
it. That's right.
I've got the same idea. 27-17, Buccaneers win, Buccaneers cover. It just feels inevitable, which likely means the Philadelphia Eagles, which were the last team left when we did our Super Bowl confidence draft with all 14 teams in the pool. The Eagles, we expect to be out by Sunday late afternoon, middle afternoon.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.